later on, North America coming at you with Endemic and Heroes Heart, ending with Simplicity and L from Esports.
You have to excuse him today a little bit. He slept a little bit longer. He had his coffee late. The morning just like he's a little.
I'm just telling you.
He's a little bit
I don't believe it personally, but it is a real thought that we have to consider.
No,
You're 1 and 3 at the bottom of the standings right now.
No, we don't.
Whatever. Let's check in with the teams right now that are about to play, as Zealots and Fnatic are looking for additional wins today.
Off to a good start.
I mean, we're in a really weird place right now because we lost so much in HGC, but I feel like in practice games and everything, we're improving, you know, and we just can't transition it into HGC for some reason. I think if we stop being tense and stop underperforming so much tournament games, we would be a top team right now. Zealots, don't choke, we 3-0 them in 5 minutes. If we play like we did versus Leftovers in the last 3, it might be a close series, but I like mechanically and strategically, I think we're way ahead of Zealots, and it shouldn't be too big of a problem.
Now, there's no beef between me and Fnatic, and we're just gonna go in there and try to do our best. Like, it's a rough match for sure. They are a good team, even though they haven't looked very convincing this split either. I mean, no matter what, we just have to focus on the present, right? So we're just gonna go in there, do our best, and hope that it's enough.
Now, even with my apparently incredibly incorrect statement earlier about these teams maybe thinking about a crucible later on, there is something that we both agree on. These are teams right now that I feel like are underperforming, obviously, to where we expect them to be at. Yeah. And seeing where they are currently, you know there's more potential and more results they should be achieving.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going into this phase, I don't think anyone would have expected Fnatic to be in the 5th spot at this point in time. And Zealots being all the way down with such a bad track record.
Spot, yeah.
Also a bit of a surprise. I didn't really expect Zealots to break into the Western Clash immediately, maybe contest those positions, but I definitely didn't expect them to sit at 25% win rate with 5 map wins and 15 losses. So that's definitely a bit shocking here.
Well, we'll see if they can change that today as they are taking on Fnatic to go into game number 1 in this best of 5 series.
3 bans!
And see exactly what's going to happen. Exactly! We have 3 bans today. Rainer is available. Get ready for some Peppa. Even if you don't have mashed potatoes, we got Pepper here at the HGC. As BOE will be the first battleground. Zealots with the choice bans are Braxis Holdout and Tomb.
We have a little bit of spice here. Pepper in the air. Also a little bit of a whiff of cheese. Different reasons.
Let's go ahead and talk about other heroes that could be coming your way too. Asmodan also, the changes in here. Don't know if we'll be seeing him immediately, but I could see a world where he starts to look a little bit strong, where you can set up for the stacking type of quest, being able to move up to the 400 extra damage, and then of course your new level 10 coming in does give you some pretty decent damage.
He's definitely interesting. I played him a bit, watched some streams where especially the pros were experimenting with different builds. I mean, you can go into an auto attack build with him as well, depending on map and situation. He's definitely in an interesting spot right now. I'm not quite sure what to think about him at this point, but let's just put it like this way. If you get a good game for him and you can push your game plan onto your opponent, you can rack up insane damage numbers with him. But he also gets steamrolled quite easily if you can just like gain some momentum and go straight at him. So he's a bit in a weird spot. I'm not quite really sold on Asmodan just yet. He definitely shows a lot of potential. I wouldn't mind seeing him in play here. People have experimented with him for sure, but I feel from the rework perspective, Jimmy definitely got the better end of the deal.
Yeah, Asmodan, even with him losing a little bit of health, he lost about 300 to 400 off of his main baseline health. He still suffers a little bit from percentage damage. Suddenly Thrall, any type of Leoric actually becoming available on Drain Hope is good against him too, and also just always being that big target that's able to get picked off can be great for a Cursed Bullet. BOE comes in, and let's learn here as we figure out what exactly the bans will be and how often. First off, Abathur comes out as a slug is taken away.
Yeah, so with this we have, aren't they beautiful, 3 bans in there immediately. It's good.
It's great, dude.
Are going to see a lot more bans on, and we already have seen a lot of bans on Genja and Tracy in particular when we had the solo ban at the start. Now we have 2 bans to begin with, and that of course makes it a bit easier for teams to not only target certain players in their hero pools, but also to just shift around the meta a bit. And now we have Tassadar banned out here against Fnatic. Battlefield of Eternity, great map if you want to play a double support setup with Vala, Tracer, or whatnot. But I would still expect to see Genji and Tracer being targeted.
Even Hanzo on this battleground too.
Yeah.
One of the best things about having a 3-band setup is that you can start to target those heroes that are strong on particular battlegrounds, but still be set up to where you don't have to deal with heroes that you don't want to deal with. Ooh, Fnatic even answering back with a Li Ming ban as well. Li Ming been a little bit more prevalent lately, bringing in that poke as you usually have Hanzo banned out and Gramian having a hard time in these matchups lately. Li Ming was great here because you're able to poke down, but also get those resets.
And let's not forget that Zealots actually played a lot of Li Ming, simply because, first of all, Quacknix can play the hero, and there was a bit of targeting hero pools in the past, where Quacknix has been very active on Gramian, very active on Li Ming, and with them also having the overlap in the hero pool that Chris can jump on the hero, kind of makes a bit of sense for them to ban that out. Genji still left open by our first pick team though, and that's something that was immediately remedied by the Zealots as they ban Genji out, making sure that Shrimpy can't play.
Blaze will be the first pick here for Fnatic, and this was something that they saw Zealots run a couple weeks ago, actually. They ran the Blaze and Diablo together, having that strong front tank warrior, and then make sure to have damage from behind. Usually, if Phoenix to back it up, was a strong combo for them. So Fnatic heads into Blaze here on BOE, takes away that combo, but also gives you a strong top laner.
Still believe in Fnatic. This roster has so much potential. It definitely does. I feel the biggest problem that Fnatic has is a bit of a mentality issue these days, and they are very well aware of that. Actually, if you talk to the players, it's one of the things that they echo very loudly. They say, hey, on a skill level, we are absolutely up there. Mechanically, we are one of the strongest teams that is currently in HGC. But the way that we approach everything is just a bit wrong. We have a bit of trouble of getting into a good flow, especially when we're starting losing maps. So they're actively working on that. And that's like a lot of the players that you talk to individually will immediately just tell you, okay, this is what I'm changing right now because I need to change the way that I talk and approach the game with this team compared to before, where he had Quacknix as a leader coming in and trying to bring everyone together. So they need to adjust around that change in leadership. And I think if they can pull it off, then we're going to see them aim for the top again. But right now, of course, they're in a spot where they can't be happy with the result.
I mean, I actually talked to Shrimpy about that a little bit in terms of what he was doing as a leader to try and make sure that he could follow that up. He said, hey, I'm working on it on the side. I'm talking to some coaches here and there. I'm getting as much insight as I can. Because he loved what they had last week in their first couple of games against the Leftovers. But of course, moving forward, Game 3 and Game 4, you could feel that frustration. It was in the gameplay, but it was also echoed within the communication. So he's really working on that himself as a leader. And I think the moment they find that, that's when we start to see that translation from scrims over to the games that we keep talking about.
I mean, the same is true for Mena, for example. Another target against Quacknix, by the way, with Gramian now being banned out. Of course, also caters to the map, but still, Quack needs to be a bit careful with this. Yeah, Mena is another player that he's very emotional in the way he approaches the game, and usually that's fantastic because it really creates this drive that he has to become the best, and you get better and better and better. But it can also be a bit of a problem if you have no one to counterbalance that. And he recognized that too and said, hey, I need to change a little bit how I communicate within these games, because at this point when we start losing, it's just not really helpful. We don't need people to push us forward. We have that. We need someone to just like bring that rationality in. And if I can help in any way with that, with Shrimpy, for example, or Breeze, then that's the way to go.
And the pepper comes out early. One of your basic ingredients that you mix into a lot of your meals, and now it's a basic composition. Raynor and HGC popping out to finish up this draft for Fnatic. I'm curious as to what Zealots will have here for Quack. Gramian banned out, Li Ming as well, both go-tos on this battleground for him. Genji also taken away. I mean, Cassia is still up and available. Cassia is actually pretty decent against Raynor too.
I mean, with a different comp, I would have said, I mean, it's not really the meta, but Lunara was always a hero in the past. For now, we have Jaina taken though. But yeah, Jimmy is in, and I think that doesn't really come as a surprise. Normally, when we're seeing heroes targeted to ban out, Raynor hasn't really made it in one of these earlier spots. But he is definitely going to have an impact here. I could actually even see teams to... like, this is one of the cool things about having a rework or any kind of change when a new hero comes in, for example. Sometimes just by a new hero coming in, you also draw other heroes that haven't been played up to that point back into the meta. Yeah. And with Raynor really relying heavily on slows, that could, for example, bring someone like Arthur's back in on the side lane. We've already seen Arthur's side laners from Fnatic here on this map. So now you would have an extra reason why all of a sudden Arthur's might make a little bit more sense if your opponent doesn't really play a blow-up combo where they can target him and just take him down within half a second. But if you have that synergy all of a sudden, or you have someone else that can slow targets really to a huge extent, Raynor just gets more and more damage and more control of the game. So slows are going to become even more important with that. And That might happen, might not, but it's definitely something that teams and us as well have to think about at this point.
You say Arthas, I say Artana. Swap, suppression pulse, easy target to hit, big hitbox. We're definitely going to see some in the future. Quote me on it, man. Let's go to game number 1 here in this best of 5 series as we head into Battlefield of Eternity. I see you shaking your head no, but your body, it's saying yes.
That's not how it works. Left side of the map, ladies and gentlemen. Shad on Malfurion. We have Quacknix currently on Jaina. Chris, therefore, finds himself on Phoenix as we have Robadoba for the Zealots on Diablo. And Urel played by Zamani. Our first game in the best of 5 series between the Zealots and Fnatic.
On the right side in the red, Mene will be the one to showcase Reynor here for Europe. Schwimpy on Hanzo, Smexy on Deckard, Last Hope on Blaze, and Breeze on ETC.
Yeah, Breeze back on the ETC here. A great hero that Fnatic in the past has very reliably banned out on Battlefield of Eternity, just simply because he's so fantastic when it comes to keep heroes within the stun circles of the Immortal. If you are in a defensive position, you can really make a lot of plays with that. And of course, ETC was always one of Breeze's favorites, set a lot of plays up. And in the days of old, you normally saw that with some kind of follow-up on the CC, where Malfurion could follow up on the power slide, or you had maybe even Kel'Thas with a Gravity Lapse. That was around the mid-season brawl in 2017, a big deal. At this point, we had Blaze in play, who could theoretically make that follow-up. But we're going to find out how exactly they're going to play with this. Coming back to Reynor though, obviously on level 1, with what we already alluded to, we're having now Ace in the hole, which is just the standard talent on Reynor right now if you're looking at the level 1. Stacking can be kind of fun, but this one is a lot more reliable, especially if you have the ability to draft slows around it.
And they have. You have Deckard Cain, Blaze, ETC, all have the ability to provide slows, especially later on when talents come available for ETC, but the oil already for Blaze, and then of course the cube for Deckard. So that damage should be popping in there. Going to be able to get a little bit more damage. Zealots, on the other hand, drafting Jaina, looking to get some early wave clear, and they start to do so here in the bottom lane. You did notice that Fnatic started this match out with a 4-on-1 in the top against Zarmany. We've been seeing this a little bit more with the GOAT lady becoming so strong. Urel, gosh, I forgot her name. I don't know why. With Urel becoming so darn strong lately, we've been seeing a lot of 2v1s against her in lane. And usually you try to offset the lane somehow, maybe get an advantage. And we had that for a little bit here for Fnatic, who put 4 in the top and try to get a little bit of race on this turret.
Yeah, well, we're having that push actually now really ramping up, and with the camp that was already taken, I want to come back into the Reynor discussion just for a moment, because some people might look at this and say like, hey, why don't they go into the stack talent? Now, first of all, it's more reliable if you have the slow damage, and especially if you compare this to Hero League. Teams that play together have a much better chance of actually drafting a composition where Reynor can continuously get that extra damage because of slows. And what's also even more important is, while stacking talents can be pretty successful in a less coordinated Hero League environment, if you're actually playing in HGC or on a top level, your opponents will give you a lot less opportunity to get a good amount of stacks going. And that's one of the main reasons why, if you compare Hero League with HGC here, you will never get a decent stack amount against a good team that knows what they're doing. So Fnatic here with that choice to change that up.
Especially when it's so telegraphed. Reynor, whenever he has that Give Me the Pepper, the level 4 attack, whenever it is available, he lights up. You have that blue aura around him. For those that are wondering, why is my opponent Reynor currently lighting up? That means he's getting that extra damage, and that new trait coming in for him is able to bring that damage. If he picks up the stacking talent, whenever he hits that auto attack in particular, that's when he brings in that damage.
Fight or Flight taken on level 4. It's basically the talent that I see the most, but there's actually a lot of variance when it comes to the level 4 talent. But of course, the idea here being that you reduce the cooldown of your Adrenaline's Rush and you get the extra armor. It's fantastic when your opponent is going to try and make a move to try and blow you up within a second. And with Jaina on the other side, that's of course one of the thought processes here, to just survive through that. Robadoba already eating a lot of damage here, by the way. But nice root, that triple. And Breeze is low and goes down as Jaina delivers the first kill in the game.
Good setup there from Shad, and Zealots will follow up. They're chasing here, trying to get to Mana. Mana being able to get that fight or flight, staying alive just enough, even with Deckard Cain to back him up. But eventually he gets picked off, and Zealots will turn their attention over to the Immortal. This is something that Zealots do pretty well on this battleground. They find opportunities, they get 1 to 2 kills, and usually they grab a nice halftime show on the Immortal. And they might get more too, as Schwimpy is staggering his death on the left. Robadoba goes in for the combo, and that'll be a 3rd member of Fnatic down.
It is unbelievable. Being privy to watching scrims, Fnatic's performance in HGC, official HGC matches, is beyond baffling. Right now, the Zealots with a 3-0 lead in kills, and Fnatic again being behind here, also about to lose that Immortal pretty heavily, even with the setup that they are playing here. So Fnatic has to play a catch-up game again. It is insanely weird. They dominate a lot of their scrims. They show great performance there. We heard it from Shrimpy earlier. They just have problems transferring that over into HGC, and now they actually struggle on that first map against the Zealots with exactly that. I feel for a lot of players on the side of Fnatic, if they would lose to Zealots, that would be... I can't even find my word for it, but like...
Devastating, morale-wise?
Yeah, make that a little bit harsher. Zealots had a rough go, but I mean, they've been improving. We've been talking about how the synergy is now slowly starting to show after Quackning's had more time to work with the team. But Fnatic now, they have to somehow come back into this. And before the Immortal gets any serious damage, already they are a level behind.
Level behind, the shields have gone down and expired here for the Immortal, but the Immortal is already on top of this fort, and it cleans it up pretty darn easily, especially with Zealots backing it up, and they had a Yrel rotate over thanks to Divine Steed pick up at level 7. Full fort down and a full level and a half here for Zealots as they get a large lead after their first initial kills and their Immortal.
Yeah, and mainly it was because they clumped up and then Shad followed it up right away with a really great route. The triple there and the double kill that followed shortly after was extremely well executed. It's a good job by them. Meta now on level 7 with a slow on Reyna, trying to help himself to a bit of extra damage through Ace in the Hole on level 1, so that synergy is already about to be exploited by him. And Fnatic is starting to move in here a bit more aggressively, trying to push the issue and maybe make a play for the camp. But with Zealots already being in a position for it, Fnatic falls back and allows the Zealots to take the Khazra camp.
They really needed Hanzo there. If Hanzo was in that area, being able to drop down the scattered arrows in that choke in particular, he would have put out some decent damage, especially on Phoenix. But him not being there on time means that Zealots were able to take that camp. And now all they have to do is just flow passively, wait for level 10, soak up where they can. They'll have a big wave up soon in the top lane, which Zarmi should be able to grab. And we should be able to have the Immortal phase with a 10 lead here for Zealots.
Exactly, and that's the big problem for Fnatic now, trying to catch experience so that they're able to at least contest to some extent with heroic abilities. But for Zealots, the thought process is really get your 10, don't take any stupid fights right now, just chill, wait for the advantage to kick in, and then when the Immortal comes into play, then you try to get another Immortal with 80% to 100% shields, and you make your play off there to go through the bottom keep and just snowball it towards level 13. So try and keep that momentum up. That's the game plan for the Zealots. And Fnatic will have to play around that. And the first rule is try to get your own level 10 so that you can fight on heroic abilities. And if you can't make that, at least get a little bit of damage in while still playing safe enough that your opponent doesn't stagger additional kills.
There's that 10. Zealots already heading straight over the Immortal. Phoenix and Yrel will start to put the damage in. Shad here as well. There's Robodoba finally, while Jaina buying a little bit of time in that bottom lane, clears out a wave to get that Night Camp pushing in. And they should be able to get this early halftime show. Now, Fnatic still has a weapon. They still have Hanzo, but if Robodoba is able to rotate over and find a combo, where Hanzo can fall. Shwimpy seeing that immediately jumps away.
But this is a really cool move by Fnatic. They keep ETC together with Hanzo. So whenever there's a play against Hanzo, ETC Breeze can create some space with a face melt, and that's what he does. So they slow down the onslaught of Zealots to an extent. They take the camp at the top lane and push out the lane a little bit. That gives them also experience. And then they're going to try and make a play after the halftime show. They don't have level 10 yet, but they're going to have it any second since we have now Hanzo at the bot lane, and there it is. So now Fnatic can think about attempting to make a play here, and that's exactly what they're currently looking for. If they can get a kill now, they might still not win the Immortal, but they can at least use that opportunity to take some hit points down of their opponent's Immortal, and that's what we're currently seeing with a poke, especially, of course, through Shrimpy's Hanzo.
Something to know is typically we see the Salvo when you mix with a Diablo's Lightning Breath, but we have Planet Cracker coming online. Zarmany goes in for an engage, gets a stun. Chris around the bottom right, bringing a little additional damage in while Robodoba is bodying that front line, trying to deal with Breeze.
Yeah, but this is now a way more even game already, and we have Hyperion taken for Fnatic's Reyna. Mena currently with the ult here, not using it just yet. But again, the poking has now started, and Fnatic is a level behind, but with level 10 abilities in play, they can make the play for that Immortal, and they are actually doing really well with all the poking through Hanzo. And of course, not only him, we're also seeing Mena always attempting to get close enough to get some extra damage in.
Yeah, with Last Hope and Hanzo, the poke is great here. Mena even keeping Zarmany off top of the Immortal, bringing in that penetrating round. Last Hope goes in, gets a nice jab propulsion on 2. Robodoba gets locked out, but with the Nature's Curie, he's able to back up. Ring of Frost connects, and Shwimpy has been deleted.
Schwimpy goes down, a Planet Cracker doing work. The bunker a bit too late to save him here. The play's not over just yet, but here comes the Lightning Breath, and Mena is low, but Smexy is attempting to heal him up. Mena on the way back, but here comes Zarmani. He wants the kill, and he's about to get it. The mosh pit barely saving Mena for a few more seconds, but then Robadoba goes in and delivers, securing the kill for the Zealots.
Smexy out of mana as well, will not be able to get those potions up, and another kill comes in. The Zealots are up 7-0 in kills, and they get a second Immortal here with a pretty robust shield. They'll be pushing in the bottom lane here, looking strong as ever.
Fnatic is in a dark place right now. You have to, for just a few seconds, think about how this is actually shaping up. Fnatic, they let Quacknix go because they believed that with him they couldn't really progress any further. He was in a bit of a spot where he wasn't really motivated enough. He talked about this a lot in a few statements that he released on Twitter, how he can come, how it's still sad for him, but he understands the decision and agrees with it to an extent, just simply because there was so much building up that was tough for him to really meet the expectations of the team and also really put in the practice time. But now with Zealots, they were off to one of the worst starts ever. And at this point, Fnatic's old leader is bringing Zealots into a position where they could take this first game. And for Fnatic, that is really, I mean, that must be insanely crazy for them right now. 7-0 kills, a 2-level lead, and the first keep under assault.
And their combo's about to be up. Ringer Frost and the Planet Cracker, they tried to pull it off last time. They got a kill on Schwimpy. See if they can get it again here as the keep is under siege. Fnatic trying to set up a nice concave to defend, but Zarmani controlling on that top left pretty darn well. Shad bringing in the heals, and there goes the second keep. Zealots, or first keep, Zealots now have Catapult pushing in. 2 forts have been taken out, and they have a 3-level lead, 14-11.
Fnatic just has a massive problem setting any kind of kill up. That's what we've seen during this entire time.
Arrow.
That was a good one. The problem is that we just have Zarmani walking up, pushing them down, and there is just no follow-up. It was a nice idea, actually, in the choke point to use the arrow there and then follow it up, but they were a bit too far away.
Shad with an Nature's Cure. Making sure no one got locked down too long. Fnatic gets a consolation prize. They'll take their camp. But now going into the next Immortal phase, how do they win this? They have to find a way to get Hanzo on top of the Immortal. But they also want to not be behind in the race. So far, Zealots have already gotten kills in the first phase. And in the second phase, they were able to get the halftime show. Fnatic trying to get level 13 right now just to make sure they're on even footing and can attempt to do that.
Yeah, for Zealots, this is absolutely fantastic what's happening here. They're going to attempt to get their level 16 as fast as they can. But even just through macro play with the bot lane catapult pressure going, Zealots are going to have the edge here. So already a quick Hearthstone, because after we've seen the attack at the bot lane through Fnatic, Zealots reacted at the top and said, hey, if you are trying to push our keep, we'll push, our fort, we push the keep, and that's an exchange we're going to take any day. But the problem, of course, still being that Fnatic at least got some experience through structures, will hit 13, and that allows them for one more fight around the Immortal, up to the point where the Zealots gain 16.
They're almost there. Half a level. Fnatic is actually going for a big play. See this in the top left corner? Sharking to the side, waiting for someone to sneak on through. Zarmani leading the charge, always having someone behind him as well, making sure not to get surprised. Robadoba's there in case he does get caught out. This is a trap, but Fnatic not seeing any opportunities, sees the flames from Robadoba, they back up, realize they don't have surprise on their side.
I absolutely love that they actually check all the bushes and that they are aware that Fnatic is going to look for that trap, because that is a play where the Zealots would have fallen victim to just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think they would have done that just 2 weeks ago against anyone. But against Fnatic, of course, it's also a bit of an advantage for Quacknix that he knows this team so well, that he knows exactly what they're going to try and do next.
Fnatic will start the halftime show, or at least the race towards it. Need a little bit more damage on there, but they get a pretty substantial lead here on the Immortal phase. But Zealots are just buying their time. They're working on level 16, putting some damage out, even scare away Fnatic, who back up and clear out the bottom lane that was grabbed in terms of mercenary camps and catapults. You have to respect that.
It just feels that Fnatic at this point accepts that they will very likely have to go up against level 16 Talons. And that's going to be a tough fight. This first game is not going well by any means. So this is definitely rough. Giddy up on level 13 for Reyna, so that extra movement speed that he has should make it a bit easier for Mena to first of all follow up if someone moves away to get that extra damage in, but also maybe to move out of harm's way just in time. But they're struggling, and they're struggling a lot. 16 any second. Going to be ready for the Zealots. Here it is. So now they're going to try and make their play. but they also can be patient. That bot lane is still pushing, and the catapult push is just building up.
Yep, Fnatic realizes their last fight, their last opportunity to get in the game. His army moves forward, goes in, tries to get a jump in. Nice little knockback from Mayday to make sure Robodoba is not able to combo him out. Hyperion gets used, and Fnatic just kites away, continuing to buy time, slowing them down. Here comes the arrow. Chris gets locked down. Robodoba gets low and falls.
Yeah, but Breeze also down as we see Quacknix confirming that kill, and in comes once again Urel Zarmani. He wants them, and he's chasing them down. Last Hope just barely moving away from this one. Chris will follow up damage against Smexy, but not enough to kill him. Fnatic is losing now also shields on the core and has to walk back to make sure that those catapults are being eliminated, which is exactly what Blaze does as we speak. But in the meantime, Zealots are moving into the middle of the map again to try and take down the Immortal, even making the play for Schwimpy, as he's attempting to at least push some damage through with the scatter arrows.
Stay a while, Listen comes out to make sure Chris doesn't get a kill on Schwimpy. He gets away, but the Immortal is now the main focus for Zealots. They head on over, put down the damage, and there it goes. A pretty large shield for Zealots to push in this top lane. There is one keep standing in the way, so Fnatic has a chance at defending this. They're starting to get to a point where they may have to force a team fight and get a win. They do have Mosh Pit up available. It wasn't used in the last team fight, and if you kill on that Mosh Pit, it's definitely a way to turn this around.
One of the problems was really that we saw, especially ETC and also Blaze to an extent, take a lot of damage as they were trying to move in and find that kill. So they moved through a lot of the AoE damage that the Zealots pushed out, while we saw that kill confirmed against Diablo on the right side of the battle. And that was a massive deal. Like, when they have the engage, Breeze and Last Hope need to be able to go in without already being poked down to half HP. And they're looking for it now, maybe past Immortal. They have Blizzard already used. Nice root down attempt by Quacknix. That would have been great if they could have kept Breeze in that point. But right now, the Immortal moves for the keep, and that's something that Fnatic just can't lose. Hyperion comes out again, and they're trying to push the Zealots back.
That'll definitely help. Robodoba on the right finds Last Hope, but he doesn't burn Bunker at all. Bunker is still up. The Immortal gets focused down. Ring of Frost comes out and will actually land on top of Kayn. Zarmani comes in, helping out the Avenging Wrath. And eventually the Immortal gets cleaned up, but the keep also should be falling too. Fnatic decide they need to go in for the engage. They start to move forward. Pyromaniac used Zarmani low on health. Not able to use our defender yet. In fact, he actually doesn't drop it at all as Shupi comes in for the kill.
Goes in for the kill, Mane confirms it, and here comes Priest. They want to go for Robodoba, and he doesn't have the souls this time. This would be the end of Diablo if they can get him, and they're trying. Smexy missing the slow, but it's not enough. Diablo still falls, and that's the double kill. The shields are still falling on the core, but as we can see now, Last Hope is ready and pushes it back. Both keeps gone, but Fnatic, they get 16 and they take down 2. Gain some map control, but is it going to be enough?
Winnable. That is for sure here. The thing I'm looking at is Diablo's stacks right now. He's sitting at a total of 47.
I heard this game has no combat mechanics. It's one of the reasons why I would only rate it 6.5.
Don't bring that up. You know for sure that there are comebacks here. We've seen it. Towers of Doom, Ding Toss, Genji.
But it's only 6.5 out of 10.
No, it's been upgraded. We're in 8.0 now. We're going up, dude.
That doesn't count. You can't go backsies.
You can sometimes. This is the internet that we live in. 16 to 18. Fnatic hit 16, so at least they're on even talent tiers, but now it's crisis management mode, right? You have to deal with catapults in the top lane and the bottom lane. The good news is they have Blaze, who is great at clearing out the lanes. It's all about rotations.
So in an ideal world, Fnatic would have tried to apply a bit more pressure and stagger kills, but the Zealots, of course, have good leadership here with Quacknix, and he just says, listen guys, we're so far ahead right now. Just fall back, give some stuff up, sit tight, and wait until we're all back on the map, and then we start to approach the next Immortal. Because there's 2 catapults pushing, one in top lane, one in the bot lane. That's all we need right now. Play the long game, and we can definitely take this. But Fnatic still has the tools to force a fight here and turn this game around. But of course, they are far behind at this point.
Yeah, they definitely have gadgets. That Pierce level 16, huge here. Last Hope in trouble. May have to use the bunker. There we go. He drops it. Here comes the Planet Cracker to help burn that down. And they get the kill. ETC will be next. Decker Kayn trying to put people to sleep, but Smexy, he's in trouble. He is slowed. And that's 3 as Zealots take out more.
3 down, and this is looking very much like game as Chris warps over and tries to go for Schwimpy, and he's going to confirm that kill together with the rest of the team. 4 down, 12 kills against 3 as Fnatic gets destroyed by the Zealots on Battlefield of Eternity in game number 1 of the series.
Zealots on the core. Mane doing everything he can here with his pepper, but it's not enough. Might need a little bit more seasoning next time if we had in game number 2 and we get another Rainer. As his core continues to fall, down to 15, down to 10, down to 0, and Zealots go up 1-0 over Fnatic.
Wow.
Yeah, unexpected. I think the thing about the Zealots that has gotten better in the last couple of weeks is we've had less staggering, right? And that was fully on display there when we saw the keep taken in the top right corner on Battlefield of Eternity. Fnatic came in and got a few kills. They pulled away and reset, as you mentioned. They waited for the moment. Communication continues to go up week after week. But will it be enough to beat Fnatic in the full best of 5?
So there's a few things. First of all, I said it during the game. From the perspective of the Zealots, this is fantastic because they slowly started to improve. They did a little bit better every single time. And from the get-go, they said, listen, our main problem is communication. We're not on the same page. Everybody, like, people don't know what the responsibilities are right now with this new team. We are not really on the same page when it comes to the decision process, when we make a call, how we follow it up, who anchors the play, who is checking, which is all these little things that just come together as a whole. And as time progressed, they started to improve a bit, but they were still losing the matches, even though some of them were a little bit closer. Fnatic, on the other hand, we said over and over again, when you look at their scrim results, when you talk to other teams about how they perform in scrims, they look dominant there, they look strong, but they can't transfer it over into HGC. And one of the main reasons is just the how they approach the games from a mental perspective, especially when they're starting to fall behind. This is exactly putting that to the test, because now they go up against Quacknick's new team. And again, as I said before, Quacknick's was let go. They said, okay, listen, it just doesn't work anymore. He is a fantastic shot caller, but he was criticized in the past for hero pool. He was criticized for mechanics, and they just felt that with someone else in the team, they would be able to perform better, especially since Quacknix himself said that he had some problems with motivation. Coming into a new team, having a new beginning, there was something where he said, like, okay, I can work with this. It's going to take some time, but I can make this work. So Fnatic losing this is putting exactly that mentality that they need to win these games to the test. So we talked about this before, and you mentioned Shrimpy, Jermaine, that said, we know what the problem is. We need to somehow address that, and we felt that we have, outside of scrim results, now also a bit of a different mindset going into these games, and they have to showcase that now, because I can guarantee you, and you heard it from Shrimpy in the interview, they thought this is going to be an easy 3-0. They thought, okay, if we int again like we did the last time against the Leftovers, it might maybe be a little bit closer, but they expected this to be fairly easy. And now they are down one map already, and they lost in pretty convincing fashion. So the tilt meter is up there right now.
It's going up there.
It's not quite on Idra level yet, but it's getting there slowly. So they need to make sure that they take now that deep breath where they said we can deal with those situations better now.
Well, they'll have to control their in-game comms, but the things that you can control is that mid-game play that you try to go for. And we actually here at the HGC are trying to make sure that we educate you at home.
What is
all about?
It's fantastic. I mean, it's beautiful.
I do what I do. That's what I do. We're trying to educate you guys about the game and what you can learn from it, and we kind of have a pretty good resource. We have pro players to talk to. And Goku from North America waited on the situation of what you should be doing in the mid-game after you get an objective or get a couple of kills. So make sure to check it out at playheroes.com/esports. Of course, there's more information there about Mule. Great auto attack builds for Falstad 2. Very clever ones if you want to check out those. As we continue to let you guys know exactly what you should be doing in the matches and what you can, of course, learn from. So check it out.
Yeah, definitely do that. There's a couple of articles out already, and there will be more in the future, so make sure that you read through all of them if you haven't yet. They're actually really, really helpful, especially if you want to spice up your own hero games a little bit.
Well, talking about spice, we'll see if we get more pepper as we head into game number 2.